Howdy, howdy, y'all. It is another Maharaj episode, or chapter, or whatever you want to call this. Chapter 63. The notion of doership is bondage. So, what Maharaj is talking about by this notion of doership, of the doer, it's just this idea of that you are this being that's in a body doing stuff, that you're just a person, an individual person in a body out doing things and causing things to happen in the world. Which, that's kind of like what people generally think. Well, that is what we are, right? And Maharaj is, saying, well, no, because you are beyond all that. You are not just this I am. Even though the book is I am that, that's the idea, is that you are beyond being that. You're not that or this or whatever thing. You transcend, you are one with the cosmos and the universe and reality itself. You are the supreme reality. You are the supreme reality. So that's the sort of thing that he is arguing about, that he is arguing with. I really like this response. So, because the questioner asks, how can we overcome the duality of the doer and the done? And I really like how Maharaj just responds to this. I really like the wording of it. There's something about it I feel like it's just inherently true. There's a trueness to what he has said that I can't explain how I know it's true, other than I just feel it in my being, almost, like, if that makes sense. I just don't know how to explain it. I'll just read it to you, and you can say what you think of it in the comments. Maharaj, contemplate life as infinite, undivided, ever present, ever active, until you realize yourself as one with it. It is not even very difficult, for you will be returning only to your own natural condition. Once you realize that all comes from within, that the world in which you live has not been projected onto you, but by you, your fear comes to an end. Without this realization, you identify yourself with the externals, like the body, the mind, society, nation, humanity, even God or the Absolute. But these are all escapes from fear. It is only when you fully accept your responsibility for the little world in which you live and watch the process of its creation, preservation, and destruction that you may be free from your imaginary bondage. So, once again, you are creating this world. You are the creator of your own world. You know, this isn't. And so I just especially like to contemplate life as infinite, undivided, ever present, ever active. Like, especially that beginning part. Um, it is. It just that's for me. I would say that's is what life is. There's something about this whole life thing that definitely seems more than just I'm a thing that exists. That's like talking about just being a individual, like, sentient being. But there's more to this whole existence and life thing than even just being a being. And so that is what I see Maharaj, I'd say, is trying to say in this. Although a lot of mind you, the beginning of this conversation is it's interesting because there is a couple questioners, actually, because they say we. So I think this is like a couple different people going on here. But there's some Americans. They had gone to see this guru at a particular temple or whatever, Sri Rameshram. Um, and so they were there and had a guru that gave them mantras to do and meditations and blah blah blah. And so I guess on their way through back, They just see Maharaj here, which is interesting. It's always interesting because there's a few other situations so far where there's been people where Maharaj wasn't like the first guru person they've seen. And I always do like that too because because you can kind of tell like the person's felt like, oh well, now I know everything because I've spent time with this one guru. They feel pretty confident, and then it's pretty funny to see Maharaj be like, because sometimes they're like, oh, you get certain parts, but no, there's this and no, there's that. It does definitely. It seems like the more humble the questioner is in general, the less obviously then they don't really get punished for their humility, but the more arrogant they get, the more Maharaj will end up punishing them for it, essentially. Which is it's pretty typical guru stuff, right? Like that's kind of par for the course. That's what you do. Anyways, so there's other parts in the book. Like this chapter in general is not that long, even for like this. Yeah, it's only like 3 pages, which most of these are even about 5, maybe 6 pages, at least it seems. But this one's like even short for like these chapters. So there's not that much to discuss about it that is quote unquote, unique about it than the other chapters. Um, I do like this. So the questioner says, I have definite spiritual ambitions. Must I not work for their fulfillment? I, I think this is another one I'm curious about how people will respond to in the comments. Maharaj says, no ambition is spiritual. All ambitions are for the sake of the I am. If you want to make real progress, you must give up all idea of personal attainment. The ambitions of the so-called yogis are preposterous. A man's desire for a woman is innocence itself compared to the lusting for an everlasting personal bliss. The mind is a cheat. The more pious it seems, the worse the betrayal. Questioner, people come to you very often with their worldly troubles and ask for help. How do you know what to tell them? Maharaj, I just tell them what comes to my mind, and at the moment, I have no standardization procedure for dealing with people. But anyway, so especially that response that he has to this idea of spiritual ambition, and that this is still just, and it seems like he's really arguing, it's not only still like just being worldly, just like this very thing you're trying to escape. It's actually even worse. You're actually being worse because it's like the facade. Having this facade of spiritual enlightenment is worse than not even seeking it out in the first place. I would say that's pretty much what he's saying. And, well, why not? That makes perfect sense to me. I mean, because now you're deluding yourself into thinking you're making progress. It's one thing not, or whatever, it's one thing it's one thing, for example, to know you're not doing well, know you're not okay, know you're ignorant. Um, that's one thing. And in fact, it's really good if you do know that you're those things. If you understand that you're those things, then excellent. Then you're actually on your way. Um, but the problem becomes when you think you're making progress, when you think you're smarter than you really are. When you think you have knowledge that you don't have, that is where trouble always comes. So that's the game. And even at the end here, when he's talking about how do you deal with, how do you give advice, and he even goes on. Um, the questioner, he even asks, you are sure of yourself, but when people come to me for advice, how am I to be sure that my advice is right? And this is like, the last thing said in the chapter. Maharaj, watch in what state you are, from what level you talk. If you talk from the mind, you may be wrong. if you talk from full insight into the situation with your own mental habits and ambience, your advice may be a true response. The main point is to be fully aware that neither you nor the man in front of you are mere bodies. If your awareness is clear and full, a mistake is less probable. So essentially, as long as you're not thinking like you're not giving advice as like a person from the point of the ego, and rather you're being in touch with the greater universe. What you're acting as a conduit for the greater universe to play itself out. Then yeah, your advice will be pure and it will be true, more likely than not. I would say that's pretty much what you're saying. Which yeah, I mean that's why gurus are gurus, right? That's why we go to them. That's why they do what. That's why they're good at what they do. Um, and I think on that note, I will leave it with this quote. They do have a quote at the end, and all will know. I always love it when they do that, and so I always read the quote. So here's the quote: "Go beyond the I am the body idea, and you will find that space and time are in you, and not you in space and time. Once you have understood this, the main obstacle to realization is removed. To know that you are neither in the body nor in the mind, though aware of both, is already self knowledge." So, on that note, I hope you all have a pleasant day, evening, whatever, and just be kind to each other and love each other. Jai Gurudev, Hare Krishna, Namaste. Thank you all. Peace.